Most people will not understand your obsession, your drive, and your determination. Success is a lonely journey. That's just a reality. And most people are not going to understand why you're so driven, why you're so obsessed. And if you try and make them understand, you're going to end up frustrated. The best advice I can tell you is go on the journey by yourself. It is the best journey, man. Leveling up, making more money, losing weight, getting fit, becoming the best version of yourself is the fucking most awesomest journey you will ever go on. But it's a journey that you will probably go on by yourself. Most people will not understand the level of obsession required. They will not understand the level of drive and determination that it takes for you to become that person. And when you try and help them understand, you'll find yourself frustrated.
If you see that you have an empty calendar, most people assume that if someone asks you for that time, it's therefore theirs. And it's only not theirs when someone else has claimed it, which means that your time only belongs to other people. And then you're surprised by the fact that your investment of time has yielded nothing for you when you've given the only and most valuable asset that you have to everyone else, who often give a very poor return on it for you. And so in the beginning, if you don't have money, the only thing you have is time. And so that is the only thing it's the only currency you can spend to improve yourself or get closer to your goals. And so if that's the one currency you have, then why on earth would you give it away?
We are who we are when nobody's watching. If you want to know who you really are, be on your own. Go somewhere on your own, on holiday or whatever, and that's who you are. If you're driving along and you throw the soda can out of the window of the car, that's who you really are. No one does that with kids in the back. You monster. But if you do that, if that's who you, it's interesting to kind of note that. It's the difference between character and reputation. You really know who you are. Reputation is what everyone else thinks about you. You know who you are in yourself.
Your laziness is something that has to do with you. You're not connected to something deep enough. You don't feel the necessity. You don't feel the devil at your heels. You don't feel the fact that you could very well die tomorrow that will impel you to get something done. There's no necessity behind it. And the human animal, the way we were created, is when we feel pressure, we feel the necessity to get things done. We can move mountains.
How are you living? Are you the best physical shape that you can be? Are you the best mental shape that you can be? How's your finances? What'd you do today? Did you do what you're supposed to do? Or did you f*** off another day and put your dreams off until tomorrow? And then tomorrow you're gonna do the same thing. And then the next day you're gonna do the same thing. And eventually you're gonna run out of time and you're gonna say, oh shit, that was my life.
If I had to choose how I wanted to feel all the time, I would choose proud. And proud means you have to work. Proud means you have to do things, you have to achieve things. If you want to be proud and be realistic, you have to do fantastic things. So my default favorite emotion is proud. That's how I'm happiest when I feel proud about anything.
Well, and the organism releases dopamine in the brain when we do hard work.
Which is why I have to win. I have to win all the time. I love proud. To feel good. I don't like happy. I avoid the happy hole because I think people who are desperate to only feel happy are the ones who are addicts, gambling addicts, drug addicts, drink too much, do dumb shit. It's all temporary, no delayed gratification. That's how you destroy your life, choosing the happy hole.
You will never in life meet a hater doing better than you.
That's a fact.
Ever.
I think the definition of greatness is to inspire the people next to you. I think that's what greatness is or should be. It's not something that lives and dies with one person. It's how can you inspire a person to then in turn inspire another person that then inspires another person. And that's how you create something that I think lasts forever. And I think that's our challenge as people, is to figure out how our story can impact others and motivate them in a way to create their own greatness.
The fastest way to losing yourself is to try and make everyone else happy. You ever try that? You ever try making everybody else happy and you find that, fuck, it's not working. I do this to make them happy. I go there to make that person happy. I do this to keep this person happy. And I find that I've got nothing more to give. My cup is empty, right? The best thing you can do is be a true north. Be you. Shine your light. Know what your core values are, know what your belief system is, know what your morals and your character should be, and live by that. And the reason I say be a shining light, because if you're like a light at the end of a cliff on the ocean, right? That light that attracts ships into the harbor, you will attract the right people to you. And you won't have to try and make everybody happy. They will be similar to your energy. They will organically be happy. And what you need to understand is that happiness is an inside job. And so if you're the type of person that has taken on this mission of trying to make everybody happy, I'm telling you right now, you're going to end up being very disappointed, and you're going to lose yourself and find yourself sad and depressed and anxious because you've just given so much of yourself.
Don't walk through the world looking for evidence that you don't belong, because you will always find it. Don't walk through the world looking for evidence that you're not enough, because you'll always find it. Our worth and our belonging are not negotiated with other people. We carry those inside of our hearts.
You have to define what the input is that's going to get you the output you want. Now, once you know what that input-output is, the next one is, why aren't you doing it, right? And so I think a lot of people are looking for something that is very hard to find. And then they attribute their lack of success or lack of action because they don't have passion or motivation.
This part of the journey is, in my opinion, the hardest part, because you have this idea, you have this dream, you have this vision that nobody else can see. Your friends can't see it, your family can't see it, motherfuckers on the internet sure as can't see it, and you don't have any reason or any credibility to stand on and say, see, I can do this. So it makes it extremely hard. But I want to remind you, as someone who's been down the gauntlet of this process, that those conversations change. And as you become more and more successful, if you are willing to ignore the criticisms of these people, the conversation will start to sound like this. Oh, hey man, are you still working on that thing? Man, that's pretty cool. And the conversation starts to change.
A lot of people may consider things toxic when they initially start out, but then when you see the end result, or when your career's over with, or when you're with a different organization, you look at it and say, you know what, I really missed that. I give an example of flowers. When you gift roses, or you're gifted roses, or any types of flowers, they cut the thorns off because the thorns, are prickly and so forth. Well, when you cut the thorns off a rose, you decrease its lifespan. So a lot of individuals that have been thorns in your life have actually allowed you to propel to places that you would never be able to propel before. And you don't miss it until that thorn is no longer there.
Whenever somebody gives you their opinion on anything, listen to the opinion and then stop and look at who told it to you. Because you never want to adopt the thinking of somebody who you don't want to be, because their thinking made them. So whatever they believe in their mind is why they are the person they are. So if somebody sits and says to you, you should be more humble, I sit and think, okay, this is how my brain works. He believes I should be more humble. That's how his mind operates. The closer my mind operates to his mind, the more likely I am to be like him. Who is he? And I'll look at the person who said that to me and say, no, thank you. No, sir, I refuse. Being humble, is that how you got to where you are? Is that how you got? No, you keep humble. I'll keep winning.
The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Go for the discipline because it weighs ounces. The regret weighs tons because it can accumulate. The discipline could be painful.
If you have something on your to-do list, or you have a goal that you had set out to achieve, and for whatever reason you're not taking action on it, go in the bathroom, look yourself in the eyes in the mirror, and ask yourself what you're afraid of. What's going to come back is something that you don't know. You're uncertain about something, just like a scary movie. That's what's stopping you from taking action. So if you can go and get the competencies like you did, shine a light on it, and understand how to navigate through it, then all of a sudden your confidence goes up. But really, you just know what you need to do and you understand what needs to be done to hit that goal, and then magically you take action. I think a lot of life is like that. A lot of it.
Some people know how to live better than others with or without money. They just sort out and pick a better person to share their time with. You feel what I'm saying? Even if you sleep in a one-bedroom apartment, then you may be richer than a rich guy. You see what I'm saying? Your life, the fabrics of your life and what you're doing and how you feel about yourself at the moment. If the person if that's sufficient for them, like then at the top of it, they're not, do you need that?
I'm a big believer that you should only listen to somebody or take advice from people who have bigger dreams for your life than you do. And I think most people don't have bigger dreams for you, which just means that for me, like their advice is invalid. I think that like in the dark times that you will inevitably have in life, like having someone who believes in you is just everything. It can be everything.
The masculine youth have the worst life. I would argue that young men today have a worse life than even young women, and they have all of their own problems. I'm not saying their problems don't exist, but for the average young man today, women expect him to be a millionaire at 20, which he isn't. Nobody gives a shit about his opinion at all. He can kill himself, nobody cares. He isn't born with any innate value because he's not beautiful like a woman is. So he has to build himself from the ground up. He has no teachers in any way. No one really to teach him. There's people like us on the internet, fine, but everyone around him is going to convince him that we're bad people. Everything he's being told in regards to his natural feelings, his natural instincts and inclinations, he's being told makes him a bad person, makes him toxic for feeling like a man in any way. It's very hard to be a young man today, and they feel disenfranchised with the system. So they find solutions. The human mind looks for solutions. They start listening to me and they go, oh, I feel better if I do this. I feel better if I go to the gym. I feel better if I start to take responsibility and take accountability. And I feel better if I'm not afraid of pain anymore. I feel better if I'm not afraid of suffering. I feel better if I understand that I'm supposed to suffer, that that's what's going to make me the best person that I could possibly be, that my youth is supposed to be spent doing difficult things so that I have the light and the dark. They find me and they start to feel a certain way about it, and then they reject the matrix programming.
Discipline doesn't imply that it's going to be easy. Discipline implies that it's going to get done even when you don't feel like it. So there's a lot of times when you're exercising high levels of discipline that you're like, fuck, I don't want to be doing this. It's extremely hard. I'd rather be doing other things. I'm not really focused on this, but the thing gets done regardless because of the discipline. So just because it's hard doesn't mean you don't have discipline. Discipline is required to do the things that are hard when you don't feel like doing them. That doesn't mean they're going to feel less hard. It just means they're still going to get done. And if you take inventory of your life and everything you ever told yourself you wanted to be, and you go back in time and you say, what if I had been able to adhere to the plan I laid out in front of my path for me to get where I wanted to go, and I had stuck to that no matter what would my life look like now?
Start with action and make small promises to yourself that you don't break. If you had a friend and every single time that you and your friend decided that you were going to go out for dinner, that friend either showed up 2 hours late or didn't show up at all, you would stop trusting that person. That is the relationship that you have with yourself. You need to be able to trust your own word. And a lot of us don't, because life is very convenient and it is easy for people to not stick to the promises that they set themselves, because our ability to be idealistic is always going to outstrip reality's ability to deliver that to us. As soon as you posit an ideal, you then begin to compare yourself to that ideal. And true hell is when the person that you are meets the person that you could have been.
Anything I have done in my life, I've done it, and I've done it with the expectation of having no regrets, or I wouldn't have done it in the first place. I'm a man of calculation. You know what I mean? I'm a man of strategic planning and strategic movement, you know? So when I do things, I make sure I don't regret it, you know what I mean? Because if you do things and you know you're gonna regret it, you only bring in hindrance to yourself, you know what I mean? I don't wanna hinder myself because I already have a heavy load on me. You know what I'm saying? Being the money maker of the family. You know what I mean? Not only just the family, I help so many people outside of my family that I don't advertise. I don't look to see publicity for and stuff like that.
And there's nothing in this life that will destroy you faster than you being unable to forgive yourself for your wrongdoings. Now, it's hard when those we love and those around us cannot forgive us for our wrongdoings. That's hard enough. But when you cannot forgive yourself, that's not survivable. That's not survivable. All right? So, walk away. When you finish doing what is right and you finished making everything right, walk away. The you that was you yesterday is not the you that is you today, unless it is. The you that is you yesterday is not the you that is you today, unless it is. But when it is not, when you have faced that man in the mirror and you have dealt with the yesterdays and you have dealt with everything and you have held the funeral and you have buried the past and you have buried the you that was that man in the past, that is no longer you. All right? Today's a new day. Today's a new you. And so do not destroy yourself over a man that no longer exists. All right? You got to move on. You got to move on.
Single day, man, getting up, and as cliche as it sounds when you tell a person, hey, man, don't take life for granted, right? And I kind of hear it go in one ear, go out the other. But bro, one of the most underrated blessings is leaving your house and making it back home every single day. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's an underrated blessing that we just assume it's gonna happen. And every single day, cats leave the crib and they don't make it back to their children. They don't make it back to their spouses. But we leave our house every single day. We just assume, like, man, I'm gonna make it back. I'll see you later, right? And it's like, man, who promised you that? Every single day, all that comes with it, right? Highs, lows, successes, failures, right? Tough moments, right? Great moments, all that comes with it, the totality of it. Appreciate all of it, right? Because we need all of it in terms of our development and the people that we're striving to become. And I say striving because we're constantly evolving. And so I would say to him, man, always be willing to be stronger than your strongest excuse, and always be willing to extend a level of grace to both yourself and the others. Because if you haven't needed it yet, I guarantee you it's gonna come a point in time to where you're gonna need another individual to extend a level of grace to you.
Your excuses will destroy you and take everything that you ever wanted from you if you let them. Because when you look around at your life and you look around at your job and your financial situation and your relationship and your physical health, and when you look at all those things and all the problems that you may have with those things, and you say, the reason I have all of those problems is because of me, that can hurt. That can sting.
Find a thing you like. Try to find a thing that you really enjoy. Try to find a thing that you're passionate about.
Like an activity.
Yes. For me, early on, it was drawing. It was illustrations. It was comic books. I wanted to be a comic book illustrator. And then it went from comic book drawing and illustrations to martial arts. So, but it was just another thing that I was very, very passionate about. And that was my vehicle out of my dilemma. That was my vehicle out of my own anxiety and trauma and my own issues and insecurities. And find something. Find a thing that you genuinely enjoy, because getting good at things you genuinely enjoy is extremely beneficial for young people, because it lets you know that, like, everybody thinks they're a loser. Every young person thinks they're a loser. At least a young person in the situation I was at. I didn't know I wasn't a loser until I started winning, until I started doing martial arts. Martial arts taught me that, like, I could get better at stuff, that I wasn't really a loser. I just was someone who was, like, in a fucked up situation. But you could channel all that energy that you have as a young person into something and get better at it. And then all of a sudden people admired me. I was like, this is crazy. So I went from being someone who was incredibly insecure and basically a failure to someone who was really successful at this one thing that was very dangerous, that other people were scared of.
You're called upon to bring your best to the table no matter what happens to you, and to maintain your faith and your courage, and to aim up. There's no excuses. Your past trauma, there's no excuses. Doesn't matter what it is.
They're going to, and you're also going to make a bunch of mistakes in life, and you're going to do stupid things, and it's because you didn't know, or that was the example you had. It doesn't mean that you're broken. You're not broken. You're just going through things, and you have to evolve, and a lot of times that evolution has pain in it and a lot of mistakes that sometimes you're even ashamed of.
You know what I'm saying? We
we're all gonna die one day.
Yeah, it's true.
So we live like that. Live like you could die tomorrow. Go for it. If I see something, I see an opportunity, I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah.
It's not a good idea to dwell in the past, to constantly think about this loss that you've suffered. Instead, you have to remember the people that you've lost, but you have to move forward. You have to move forward with your life. I can guarantee you right now, the friends and brothers that I lost, the absolute last thing that they would want me to do would be to sit around for the rest of my life and mourn for their loss. In fact, the absolute opposite is true. What they would want me to do would be to go out and live the best possible life I can, and that's what I try and do.
When you're dealing with somebody that love you for you and want you to be happy, you start doing things to make yourself happy. Mm-hmm. When you always living to please others, you're going to always be in a constant state of depression because you're never doing nothing for you. When you start doing things for you to make you happy, then you can make somebody else happy because you're happy.
I'm all right. I came out okay. I'm a good person. I got a good heart. I treat people with respect. Ultimately, I want the most that I can possibly get out of life. I love to love. I'm a good dude. Am I perfect? No. I got some of them imperfections over there. I got some of the ones from over here, from mom and dad. Okay, that's life. Of course. I'm gonna figure it out, but I figure it out.
You're afraid that if you put your heart and soul into it and you fail, then how are you gonna feel about yourself, right? So being fearless means putting yourself out there and going for it. No matter what, go for it. Not for anybody else, but for yourself.
If you frame a personal challenge as an opportunity to overcome and improve yourself, these things that seem so horrible are actually very positive components of your existence, and they're going to make you better.
I think one of the first ones that I started to learn that you can't really give a fuck about what people say no more. Because everybody gonna fucking critique everything that you do, no matter what you do. That shit will creep into your mind, no matter if you believe it or not.
It's wasted energy.
Yeah, it's wasted energy.
The easiest thing I've done was to get out from under the labels and to live the life that I live. The most difficult thing I've ever done was to believe that I can do it.
I'm obsessed with finding myself now after and not having to prove anything to anybody other than myself and my family, but really myself. And realizing that is enough. You know what I'm saying? Like giving your best is enough. And sometimes we lose track of that, And so for anybody out there, you're enough, man.
There's gonna be things in your life that you don't have control over. There's things that you can control, there's things you can't control. Now, I will tell you that human beings can control a lot more than they think they can. And oftentimes, it's pretty easy just to say, oh, that's not me, that's not on me. And I think that's the whole genesis of the idea of extreme ownership, is most of the time, or much of the time, people say that's not my fault, there's nothing I can do about that. And more often than people think, there is something you can do about it. And it is your fault.
Whatever I'm afraid to do, I do it. Anything I'm afraid of, I confront it. And that's my personality. Like right now, I'm scared to death. But as the fight gets closer, the less nervous I become because it's reality. And in reality, I'm invincible.
Attitude goes a long way. So again, going back to this guy here, Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace, passes away. 4 years has colon cancer, no one knows about it. He goes to the doctor. That means that this doesn't mean he's not taking care of his body. He's going to the doctor, but he doesn't advertise his pain. Sometimes it's just good not to advertise your pain. Sometimes it's good to not just tell the whole world what you're going through. I'm not telling you don't talk about it with a group of people. I'm not telling you have some private conversations with certain people. I do believe in the ability to have some kind of a form of a release, but the way people are doing it right now, posting everything on Instagram, all this other stuff, what's the point behind it? You need attention? Is that what you need? It's not necessarily mental toughness. Mental toughness people are not looking for attention. Mental toughness people are trying to get results. A big difference.
When you were born, you are a phenomenon. You are unique. Your DNA has never occurred in the history of the universe, going back billions of years. It will never occur in the future. Your life experiences with your parents and everything that you experience in your early years going on up is unique, it's yours. You're one of a kind, right? So that is your source of power. To waste that is just the worst thing you can do in your life. And what the power is finding that uniqueness, what makes you you, and how you can mine that, and how you can go deep into it and use that to create a career path.
If you're in a spot and you don't know what to do, and you're not sure where to go, and you don't know where the right direction is, start walking and start looking for opportunities, and they'll show up.
You know, if you're going to create anything of value in this life, you're going to, even if it's with other people, you're going to have to be willing to be on your own for a bit, to forage on your own, to take walks alone, and then return to people, to your tribe, so to speak, and share with them what you've learned, or maybe even just show up with whatever energy shift has occurred while you were off.
When you really want something, you're gonna find a way, ultimately. And it might not be today or next year, or 5 years or 10 years, but this thing takes priority and precedent over all other things. When you don't want something as much as you think you do, of course, bro, just like you said, don't nobody want to live a hard life. We all want to make life easy for ourselves, for our families, for our mothers, boom, boom, that's amazing. And the thought of that is amazing. But the desire for that doesn't always match. Sometimes your desire might not be enough fuel. You gotta have a strong desire, and when you have a strong desire, that shit outweighs all other shit, the distraction.
What I tell people is the way you get to the next level of your life is keep going. Keep going, keep running. Even when you don't even know, even if it turns into chaos. You cannot be great if you cannot operate in chaos. Because if you can operate in chaos, the world becomes Disneyland. Problems become scratches.
You will never feel ready to do things that scare you. You will never feel ready to jump off the cliff. You will never feel ready to take that leap. And the reason why is based on science and research. Your brain is designed to protect you, and change requires risk. And so you are protecting yourself by saying maybe tomorrow.
Never say you can't do it. Say, I haven't done it yet. I haven't done it yet. And that's true with everything. It's like, there's nothing that you can't do. You may not have done it yet. We don't know if you can do it or not until you really practice, and then you find out if you can do it or not, or how well you can do it.
Yeah.
I had this childhood, you cannot make it, you're not good enough, you're not accepted. That for me, it burns. It burns. Because I go against all of those things, and I will demonstrate and I will show you. I always have this saying, why be normal when you can be the best? So when I do my things, I don't want to be normal. For me, normal, it doesn't exist. I want to make the difference. And when you make the difference, you are being the best. And I'm not the guy who will go out and say, you will see. Because one thing is you talk and one thing you show. Because I prefer to work in silence, but I will perform in violence. That is my approach. And when I perform, I will show you.
People don't experience life. They experience the life they focus on.
Right.
So right now, if you're happy, you are deleting all the things you could be pissed off about or frustrated or worried about in the world. If you're unhappy, you're deleting all the things that are great in your life.
Wow.
And our brains delete and they distort and they generalize. So if you don't direct it, you get whatever shows up. What's wrong is always available. What's wrong in the world, it's always available. What's right is also available. It's just which one you pick. And it isn't about positive thinking, because I've never been into positive thinking. People think that's what I do. It's not. I believe in intelligence. And so when you're in a lousy state of mind, you treat people poorly, you don't perform at the highest level, you're not happy. Yeah. When you're in a great state of mind, you treat people better, perform at a different place. And it's one of the reasons the humor is so valuable. Yeah. It changes people's state. And all of a sudden they're in a different place. They respond in a different place when they're laughing than when they're pissed off.
Yeah.
So why not train yourself to do that?
Don't let life stop you from living life. All that you feel, all that you're carrying, all that you've seen, all that you've heard, all that you've been exposed to, all of those experiences, they are all very, very real. You may not be telling people about them, but you're thinking about them, you're carrying it, you're processing, you're triggered by it. It's all still there. But do yourself a favor.
No one's good at everything. I mean, that's just not the way life works. We're all talented at certain things, but we can really continue to improve our weaknesses if we're humble enough to identify them, and we can build on our strengths. And I think we're all trying to find a more well-rounded aspect to ourselves, but a lot of that has to come with this understanding about yourself that what you know is very limited and what you don't know is limitless. And you have an opportunity every day to surround yourself with people to help you grow.
I'm realizing that I have to daily show up for myself if I want my life to be what I want it to be.
Right.
It is a battle. And not only that, but it's like you have to have some sort of a plan. When I used to be a little bit more aimless, I was just like, oh, I want things to be good. It wasn't enough.
Justice is when you get what you deserve. Mercy is when you don't get what you deserve. He said, but grace is different from both of them. Grace is when you get what you don't deserve. Do you understand that? God has this thing that he passes out called grace. He passes it out and he gives you things you don't deserve.
Go do something. Do the best thing that you can think of. Put the best plan you have into practice. It's not going to be perfect and it will change along the way, but it will change partly because you become disciplined pursuing the path. And as you become disciplined, you become wiser. And as you become wiser, you become able to formulate better and better plans. So you can start vaguely and confused and develop a plan that's not so great, and you start to implement it, and then you accrue incremental wisdom as you implement your flawed plan, and that enables you to fix the plan. And so that's part of that process of incremental self-improvement as well.
Contemplate the price you pay for inaction. So I think a lot of the time we presume that inaction has no cost, that it's like an impartial strategy, and it can cause us to continue to manana decisions. But it does. Inaction does have a cost because your attention is the most important thing that you have. And it's not time. People think that time is the most important resource you have in life. It's not. It's attention. Because you can spend your time in ways where your attention is captured such that you didn't enjoy the time or realize the time has passed. So contemplate the price that you pay for inaction. It's a justification for you doing things sooner rather than later and committing.
And that's what's painful, is that it takes more effort to start in the beginning, and more people are right about the fact, they're like, hey, you're not going to hit it big. And guess what? A month in, you're not. But they're only measuring on months. And at 6 months, you're also not going to have hit it big yet. And they're going to be like, I'm still right. And at a year, you're still not going to have hit it big. And they'll still be right. And every day that you haven't hit it, they're going to feel like they were right. But they're wrong, because they're measuring in days and you're measuring in decades.
Do not compare yourself to other people that are farther along the journey and assume that you're going to get there overnight. Once again, the killer of joy is comparison. You need to run away from that. And finally, you need to understand that you must be willing to sacrifice who you are today for who you want to become tomorrow. You have to sacrifice who you are today for who you want to become tomorrow. The Bible, there's a verse in the Bible that says, when I became a man, I put away childish things. You can't become the best version of yourself unless you're willing to neglect who you are today. The bad habits, the bad friendships, bad relationships, the bad ideas, the bad mindset. Because if you want to become a millionaire, if you want to become a person that's successful, if you want to develop a better physique, it will require sacrifice. And if you want to get to the next level, it'll cost you. There is a price to success. It hurts. Like, you've had to neglect friends.
Yeah.
You've had to neglect certain comments from family members.
Yeah.
You've had to work overnight for years and years, and nobody's gonna see that.
Yeah.
Nobody, but that's the price. And you will either live the price with two aspects, because you're gonna pay the price regardless of life. You will pay the price of discipline and hard work, or you will pay the price of regret.
You have to sacrifice your lower self to your higher self in order for you to proceed in a healthy manner, to be resilient, but also for you to participate in the covenant that would make for a united society.
It's like when Kobe said, I was chasing perfection and excellence, even though I knew I would probably never catch it. But just the fact that I was willing to chase it, I would defeat most of my opponents, because most of my opponents would never chase something that didn't have any guarantees attached to it. Chasing perfection and excellence, even though I knew I would never catch it. But he had the courage to chase it because he knew what it would turn him into. And most cats wouldn't even go down the course to chase it because it didn't have any guarantees attached to it.
being honest with where you stand and how you feel, it's really giving another person an option and opportunity to be as honest with you. And whatever your fear of that is, of that outcome, is never really as big as what you make it up to be. You know, it's really not that. So I would say maybe just being honest and living with the results. You know, and tomorrow is not promised to anyone, but time will move on. You know, you will move past it. You know, and if tomorrow never comes, at least you can know that you said what you needed to say.
Do you think that everyone has purpose?
The way I look at it is, you, Theo, were born with a DNA that will never be replicated in the past or in the future. It's a unique marker of you, right? So genetically, there is something different about you. Weird, odd, great, whatever you want to put it, okay? And it's like something that's planted at your birth. It's what makes you different from everybody else. It's even what makes you different from your parents. Right? I mean, you do inherit their genetics, but it's always different, okay? And so that's like a seed at your birth. If you cultivate that seed, if you cultivate your uniqueness, it gives you a purpose in life. It's why you are unique. You can look at it as if somebody or it's just nature intended it to be this way, but it's what makes you you. It's your energy, it's your character, it's your weirdness, it's your sense of humor. It's what draws you to certain things, what you hate about certain things. It's you.
There's a saying, there's a quote that I really believe in, that when the pain of the current reality becomes greater than the fear of change, that's when we change. So like when the pain becomes so intense that it's greater than the fear that you have of the unknown, then you'll go into the unknown. You can stand there at the door looking at this abyss, but when it becomes so fucking painful that you walk into that's when the change happens.
Man, who are you when it goes south, man? Not when you get what you want. We know when the sun's shining and you get what you want, you're gonna smile. Right. Babies do that. I give them a bottle, they gonna smile. I give them what they want, they gonna smile. I give a puppy a snack, he gonna smile. But when you don't get what you want, when it doesn't go the way you want it to, even if it affects and impacts you on a physical level, who are you? Right? Because that's the person that your kids are gonna learn from. That's the person that your parents raised. That's the person that will go out and either positively or negatively affect and impact the world. Who are you?
I don't know how to build a dam. I don't know how to get 1 million people involved in anything. Well, let me tell you a secret. No one does when they begin. Ideas don't come out fully formed. They only become clear as you work on them. You just have to get started. If I had to know everything about connecting people before I got started, I never would have built Facebook. Movies and pop culture just get this all wrong. The idea of a single eureka moment is a dangerous lie. It makes us feel inadequate because we feel like we haven't had ours yet. And it prevents people with seeds of good ideas from ever getting started in the first place.
You need to work on yourself. If you just try to be pampered, and if you're trying to be soft, and if you're trying to be the victim and all stuff, you're not going to go anywhere. We need to get stronger. We need to get bossier. We need to get tougher. We need to not be afraid of failure. We got to go into the work. We got to face adversity. Adversity breeds character. It's strength and fighting and resistance. It does not only make the muscle grow, but it makes also your head grow, makes you a stronger person. We have to be willing to go through hardship, through suffering, through pain, through crying periods. All of that stuff, don't shy away from any of that because it just makes you stronger.
Maybe your purpose in life isn't related to your job. Maybe your job is your job and the job is the thing that supports you. And then the rest of your waking hours are devoted to your purpose, whatever that is. And it's beautiful when it happens, but it doesn't always happen, and it's out of our control also. We can decide. I would say, if you need to have a job to support yourself, that's great. That's a noble thing to do. and follow your dreams. But I'm not saying they're one thing.
Yes.
They don't have to be one thing. And don't let following your dreams undermine your ability to support yourself.
And it's so much easier to make the same choice every single day. And the hardest part about change is not making the same choice as you did the day before. And the moment you decide to make a different choice, you're going to feel uncomfortable because you're stepping from the known into the unknown. So some people would rather cling to their self-pity than take a chance and possibility. They'd rather tell the story of their past instead of telling the story of their future. They'd rather believe in their past instead of believe in their future.
Nobody is perfect. People are going to tell you you're perfect just the way you are. You're not. You are imperfect. You always will be, but there is a powerful force that designed you that way. And if you're willing to accept that, you will have grace. And grace is a gift. And like the freedom that we enjoy in this country, that grace was paid for with somebody else's blood. Do not forget it.
Don't waste your time. Do you know that everybody alive gets exactly the same amount of time we get all there is? It's what we do with it that makes a difference. Don't waste your life. Set your goals high. Quit thinking about what's wrong. Start thinking what's right. Love a little more, hate a little less. You have no idea what you're capable of doing. Make up your mind today, you're going to figure it out.
What would my life look like if every single time I told myself I was going to get in great shape, I actually followed through the first time? What would my life look like if all the times I told myself I was going to take my career more seriously, I just did that the first time? Where would I be now? Right? It's a life-changing skill set. It's almost insulting to look at someone who is constantly working hard and think that it's easy for them to work hard. It's not easy.